Shizu? Shizu, you are stupid. What? That's what I think.
Do what you
Whatever
want.
you were saying. I do what I want. That's so dumb.
That should be your campaign slogan.
That is. It's such a selfish campaign slogan. I do what I want. Okay, any other questions? Or should I tell a story?
Story.
All right, story. Let's think of a story. And 3 stories that kind of intertwined or whatever. And I played like this ninja, which was kind of cool. And then he played like this kind of hired hitman thief something. But he was like guns dude. And then this other guy played like this brute strength kind of Neanderthal, sort of like Conan style, just brute strength. Anyhow, called Hellbinders. You can probably get it on Amazon or whatever. But he's actually, I didn't know anything about him, you know, before going into it, other than he was in Star Wars, you know. And oh. You text me? What? Oh yeah. That's Polo, lead guitarist in the band actually. I have it in my playlist. So we just finished a new album called Revolution Airwaves, and we don't have them because we're finishing the master Monday, and but I do have it on the iPod. So if you want to go stand by our booth and listen, you could. Yeah, dance party at the iShine booth. Any other questions, or yes? Is it weird that you guys can see my feet, right? Seems weird, isn't it? Like, what if like I was just standing here, my feet the whole time were like doing this? I feel like my whole body needs to entertain you, not just the upper side of it, you know? So there's a whole different show going on down there. So what was your question? Is he gonna trip over that microphone cable? I can't wait.
My question was, if you had to choose any season of Power Rangers that you haven't been on, which one would you choose that you liked and why?
I didn't really watch it after I hardly watched it when I was on the show.
I figured, you know, with Power Morphicon and all that.
I came back for Space, I came back for Overdrive for like a couple episodes, or one of Space. But I remember when I was going back to do Overdrive, it was such a long time, it was like, you know, I don't know, 12 years, 13 years before I'd been on the show, or since I'd been on the show, and so I was like, I want to check it out and see what it's like, and I just YouTubed, you know, Power Rangers or whatever, and I saw there was one that had Dan Southworth, I think Time Force, is that what it's called? And so I just checked out a few clips of that, you know, to see what it was like, and it was like, whoa, the stories are kind of not deep, but the stories were good, and the acting was really good. It was kind of it was like a Power Rangers for like a slightly older audience, at least, you know. And I was like, well, this is kind of cool, you know. There's some actual acting. When I was on the show, super cheesy, and you know, and I didn't even know what I was doing half the time. And so like 13 years later, I was like, oh cool, I can do some cool stuff. There's gonna be some real acting. And I remember asking, hey, can I die? Can my character die? And I'm like, dude, it's Disney. And I'm like, no, you can't die. And I was like, come on. And so anyways, so I went there, and then, but that would be the one, I guess, Time Force, because that one I thought was cool. But when I'd gone back to Overdrive or whatever and saw the script, I was like, oh, it's the same as when I left. And so I think just that season actually was a little more serious, I think, as far as the acting. Although now I caught not a full episode, but I caught a little bit of Samurai. Is it Samurai? and it seemed like everybody was so serious. Like every single one of the Rangers was like everything was. And I don't remember. I mean, maybe we were serious, but I don't remember us always being like that.
I don't.
You know? I don't either. And we would have outtakes at the end of ours. We just did Zio and Turbo, and half of them were me falling down or something. So, yes, any other questions?
Broken Path, is that ever going to be released?
Well, our executive producer kind of screwed things up a little bit and sold to territories before like giving it. They could have sold it to someone else and then it would have been all over the place. But they sold it to like Africa and other places like Israel and stuff like that. So, but then they just did a deal with like overseas, like UK and stuff like that. So, I think you can get like bootlegs on Amazon.
I've seen it on Amazon.
Yeah, and
it's
then
like $50 for the DVD.
Yeah. So I mean, you could probably get it there. You know, I mean, I don't normally say, hey, go pick up a bootleg, but that one I'm like, I don't care. If you want to see it, go see it or download it. You know, find it, steal it. I give you permission to steal it. Yeah, I mean that was a fun one. It was a lot of action. In fact, the producers, when they were talking to me, they're like, they'd seen the stuff I did on Power Rangers, and so they just assumed that's how I acted. And they're like, so no acting, just fighting the whole time. And we're like, well, that's kind of weird, you know? It's like, we're gonna fight really the whole time, and then they're like, well, we'll have a couple things that you can say, whatever, but I don't want you talking too much. And it's like, it's like, how lame is that, you know? And we're like, okay. But I knew the director, and I knew other people on it, and the writer, and these guys, they were Jewish guys, and so the producers, and so they couldn't be there all the time because like certain like weekends they couldn't be around. You know, they had to go off and do because they're, I wouldn't say orthodox, but they're kind of strict, so they had to go and be inside and not do any work or whatever. So when they would go away, we would rewrite some scenes. Let's talk in this one. And so there is some dialogue in there. Yeah, it's mostly action. You can catch, I think you probably end up watching the whole thing on YouTube. Broken Path, Part 1, and then follow it. Yeah, otherwise just steal it. Or you can buy the bootleg on Amazon. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, here's the original one was just this. Like, we just put our hands on our butts. It's morphin' time. And then it would appear. And then that like progressed into or we did that thing. And I don't remember the other ones actually. It was like one of them felt like we were like flipping, I can't remember them all, really. The only ones I remember is this one and then that one. So that would be dumb. I need to do them right now. Yes. Isaiah was really cool and a lot of fun, and I kind of hope there's more, but I don't know. It was one of those characters when I went into the audition and I looked at him and I watched the clip and I was like, I think I can do this character. I like him. He's kind of a douchebag. Be a douchebag if I really wanted to. And so it was a lot of fun, actually, really cool. The hardest part about that would be the speaking Russian at times. I was like, what? It wasn't a whole lot. There's like a couple of small bits of dialogue that was like Russian. And they would play it, like they had some guy who was actually Russian with like, I think it sounded like he just called in the dialogue, and so it was like, because it sounded like it was on a phone, it was like this, and it was like in Russian, the pronunciation, but it was very, very monotone. The way he didn't act the dialogue out, you know what I mean? It's like he was just talking like this, and everything was very flat and monotone, and this is so I was like, well, like when I'm talking, like there's a lot of inflection in your voice when you're talking or whatever, but this was just a lot of and I was like, well, is that like he's not acting, right? It's just like straight flat, because that's obviously not going to work with what the anime's doing. Yeah, they're like, so I kind of had to figure it out that way. But that wasn't even a question. I just kept going. That's what happens here. I just keep going. I'll do whatever I want.
Do what I want.
That's the new title. Here's Johnny. I do what I want. Yes.
With all the roles that you have, is there any particular role where you're reading lines and what role?
That happens all the time. Especially in anime. In an anime, I mean, it's a lot better now, but earlier on, you know, working on it, it's like, wait, what are we saying here? Does this even make sense? Do people talk this way? This feels very backwards, you know? And you can still find it. Like, I'm sure you go back and watch any of these older anime. And there's some today too, but it's like you watch it and you're like, nobody talks like that. You know? It doesn't feel right. But yeah, that happens all the time, you know? And a lot of times, you could say something, but you're going to have to do whatever you're told to do anyways, you know? Because unless it's your show, and you're producing, you know, and you just happen to be doing the voice. Yeah, you know, and then there are times like with Bleach, there's a little more flexibility because I've been doing it for a while, so they're like, oh well, you know, if you have a good idea, we can try it. But some shows it's like just do it the way we say to do it. And you never know what a show's going to be like. Like you'll get good direction, you'll get bad direction. Again, I'm going on. I'll do what I want. Say I want my panel. But I'll tell you a story that I was working on this game, and I don't remember the name of the game because I just kind of blocked it out. But I knew the director, but there were two producers in there, and the producers would always have to chime in. Like whatever the dialogue would be, I would say it the way I thought was right for the character, and then one of the producers would punch in, actually, could you do it like this? And they would say, whatever, you know, and they would feed me the line and tell me exactly how to say it. And I'm like, okay. And I felt like a puppet, you know. It felt like after a while, I was like, it's getting frustrated because it happened for every single line, and I was like, man, why'd you even bring me in here if you're going to tell me how to do everything, you know? I didn't say that. I was thinking it because I was getting frustrated. And then at one point, like, there's a line. I did the line how I thought I was supposed to do it, or the way I would have done it. And then one of the producers came in and said, John, can you say that a little more sad? And I was like, yeah, sure, okay. You know, so I said the dialogue a little more sad or whatever. And then the other producer punched in, actually, can you say that a little more happy? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was waiting for them to give me the beeps, and I could see them in there, and they're like talking and discussing, and I'm like, oh boy. And then they punch in, you know, actually, could you make that line happy sad? And I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? And I'm like, that's a complete opposite within, like, it was like 4 words. I'm like, that doesn't make, does anybody ever do that? Like, go, hey, you. And so I looked at him, I was like, okay, wait, so you want me to take these 4 words and make them happy, sad? Like both, complete opposite? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, that makes no sense. But I was like, I didn't say that. I was like, okay. And I basically, in my mind, I said, you know, I'm just going to do what I did the first time. And so I did the same exact read I did the first time. And they're like, that's perfect. Okay, you guys just want to be controlling. You don't even know what you're looking for. You're just shopping. But it happens. That kind of stuff happens. You just deal with it, you know. So, yeah, I've told you this story already. Who has not heard any of my homeless people stories?
Have you ever seen her?
All right, so there's what?
Did you ever see her? She still hasn't ever.
Hey, all right, let me tell the story because not everybody's heard the story. All right, so this is a true story, and I have a lot of stories about my run-ins with homeless people, and they're not all evil. Some of them really are homeless, but you know, a lot of times, like. I usually give, you know, because it's like whatever, you know, it's like some change, you know, that I have, you know, I'll give it. But this one day, anyways, I have to set it up. Let me just tell you the story. So when I come home from work, I have to take the freeway, and when I exit, you know how like there'd be an off ramp and then, you know, stoplight and then you'd be stuck there for a while, and then I'd go under and that's how I get home. And there'd always be like a homeless guy standing there with his sign or whatever. And I always ignore them because it just feels weird. I'm kind of driving and I'm in my car, and I just usually ignore them because, I mean, you guys have run into homeless people on the side of the street, right? While you're driving. Has anybody ever seen them while you're driving? Yes? Okay. Today? Yeah, while you're driving, it's just kind of like weird. Like, I mean, should you stop and give them something? It's just kind of a weird thing. Anyways, this one day, I was coming home and I exited the off ramp, and it was a red light, and there's like 4 or 5 cars in front of me, and this monster truck pulls up behind me, and it's like, it's really loud. It's got tinted windows, so I can't really see the person inside it. Could have been a woman or a child, I don't know. But it just felt like a very angry big man, Just the size of it, and I couldn't see inside it. It's like, if you can't, it's like a cop. If you can't see their eyes, you don't know if they're like, or if they're like, angry. And so you're just intimidated. And so I just felt like as soon as it turns green, I need to get out of here because he's going to run me over. So I felt that pressure. But I was eating my carrots that I had left over from the Ziploc bag from lunch, and I'm eating them. And I look over, and I see this homeless woman, like, standing off the side. And usually it's some guy, and I'm just like, whatever. But it's a woman, so, I'm not from the South, so my heart kind of went out to her, and I was like, man, I should give her something. And I'm from LA, and in LA, you have to pay for parking everywhere downtown, And so my cup holders were just full of quarters, and at least 2 pounds worth, at least. And so I was like, I'm just going to give her these. I can get change later. So I scoop up this 2-pound bag, and I put it in this Ziploc. I zip it up, and I'm like, cool, it's pretty heavy. I start rolling down my window, and she's, a good distance away from me. And she sees that I'm doing this, and I like start to hold out the quarters like that. And she takes the sign, and she puts it down. She's got a little smile on her face, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some money. And then she stands up, and then the light turns green, and the 4 or 5 cars in front of me, they just take off. And I'm like, oh crap, I better go, So I step on it, and I've got these quarters out the window, and I'm thinking, wait a second, I'm going like 20 or 30 miles an hour right now. This monster truck is right behind me. And I'm thinking, how am I gonna like hand it off to her? This exchange. I didn't think it out properly. I'm going really fast now. She's not a football player. I can't just be she's gonna run with it. She's like a frail woman. And so I'm going. I start thinking, man, I'm a martial artist, so if I just time it out right, I've got really great timing, And I'm thinking 20, 30 miles. I'm calculating it in my head, like a crazy mathematician. And seeing the arch in your hands. And so I'm like, okay, ready, Johnny, and now. And I just flick, and I'm thinking, just a little flick and it'll land gracefully, right? So I'm like, and I watch as this 2-pound bag of quarters leaves my hand at 20, 30 miles an hour. Flies in the air like, smashes into her face. 2-pound bag, 2 pounds worth quarters just crashes in her face. Her face does that like full on like thing. I see it all. Like whenever something tragic happens, it all slows down. Like it feels like 2 seconds feels like 2 hours, and I can see everything so clearly. It was like every detail. She had like 1 million hairs. I could count them all, but it was like right? The bag like rips open. It's like useless, it's like flies everywhere, and I'm like, her expression was like, and she like falls, and like I can't stop because monster trucks are right behind me, and I just like I peel around the corner, like really peel. It's like I drive away, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I just threw that in her face. Again, her mind. She must have thought like I was trying to kill her with it. I mean, can you imagine? It was heavy. It was like, like it smacked her in the face so hard that it ripped open. I felt so bad. Like really felt bad. And this is a true story. And like I take that exit all the time. Since that day, I've never seen another homeless person there. Never. Like, this is absolute truth. I never see another homeless person since that day. Like, my theory is that they all talk, you know? And they're like, "You guys hear what happened to Kate? She got hit in the face, she's dead. Somebody killed her. Killed her with love and kindness." It felt so bad. And so, looking back, I'm like, why, God? I was trying to do something nice. You know, you learn a lesson from things like that. And mine was like, you never give a homeless person money while driving. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. Unless they've got like a football mask on and they're like, take it. Go ahead. True story, I felt like a complete douchebag that day. Hollow laugh? I guess. Let's see. All right. Okay, so hollow laugh. Who am I? All right, no more laughing. Let's get serious. Question? Yes.
I actually wanted to know if you could do like a Gamora, any life like Gamora.
Okay. Yeah, I only know like one line. Your Lordship! Multiple times over and over, while getting louder and louder.
You do realize people are going to ask you to do that in AI because Chris is in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then maybe I will.
But you do what you want.
Yeah, I do what I want. My panel. I feel like a politician. Are you guys going to go to that political debate?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sure, probably.
I should be in the running. That would ruin things if you guys went in there and were like, Johnny Yong Bosch. And they were like, wait a second. Why are these people voting for Johnny? It's not even in costume.
I'll vote for you.
Don't, no, that would be bad. I think it would ruin things.
Sabotage.
It would sabotage it. Wait, but then maybe I could be the mascot. Is that what it's for?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to be the mascot? I want to be the mascot. Yeah.
Make signs.
Make signs
Make signs.
with my face on it. I want to be the mascot. And then everybody next year would have to go dressed as me. Half Asian. Can you pull that off? Just a slight, like, slam. Not full on, but just slight, ever so gently. Take back the size of your eyes. If you're Asian, just ever so gently. Widen. Is that racist? Hey, I'm making fun of myself, all right? Questions? Yes.
I'm a huge Naruto fan, and when I figured out he did the voice of sorcery, I completely fangirled. And the reason I like doing the voice of that character because he's like completely crazy when he takes off the clothing.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. Sasori was actually a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, especially his fighting against Sakura.
Yeah, he was so. I remember. I mean, there's a point. He's just very mellow, you know, and really kind of smooth. So it was actually a lot of fun. It's kind of relaxing. It's very relaxing too. Yeah, he does go crazy. But that's a great character. I like it, and I remember. I mean, I auditioned like earlier on, the very beginning. I auditioned for every single character. You know, so I didn't get any of them. Yeah, well, earlier on, I had never worked at the studio before, and I heard that they were doing Naruto. And so I was like, I should see if I can go and audition, you know? And so I called them up, and I was like, hey, I'm Johnny, I've done some voiceover. They didn't know who I was. I'm like, sure, okay, come on. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went in, and they had the table, and they had like all like the sides, you know, all the different characters. And they were like, yeah, just pick a couple of characters that you want to audition for, and then go in and give it a shot. And I was like, okay. It's like, these are all guys? And they're like, yeah. It's like, okay, I'll take them all. I just took them all. I was like, what the heck, right? So I went in and I auditioned for every single character. And as I was doing it, you know, the guy that was he's actually the producer. He was like recorded, and he's like, oh, that was amazing. That was really good. Do the next character. You nailed that one, you know. And I was like, oh man, I feel good. I gotta get at least one. If I get one, I'm doing amazing. And I didn't get any of them. I didn't get any of the characters. And then like, actually like months went by, and then they started working on Bleach, and I got called in to audition for that, and I actually got Ichigo. And so I think it was at least maybe 6 months to a year later, they just kind of were like, hey, come on in to Naruto and do some. I played like random ninjas that died. I think I'm a ninja from like every village at some point that dies. Like, no joke. I'm all over the place. That sounds like Johnny. Yep, that's me. He didn't say anything though. He just screamed. Or he just ran. He just threw a Chinese star. Shuriken. So then eventually they gave me the character Genma. The guy with the like, pick in his mouth. So I played him for a while, and he just disappeared. I had no idea what happened to him. And then finally they got me Sasori, you know? So actually I played another character. That might have been one of the movies or something. But yeah, and so I was like, oh sweet, a really cool character. And then I remember I was working on it, and then Mary Elizabeth, she was directing. And she was like, Johnny, why didn't you ever come in and audition for any of the main characters? I did. What? But I didn't know anybody then. Yes. I would have to have lines in front of me, otherwise it would just, I have no idea. No! Go, what's your first question? I do what I want! I'm getting like a weird accent. I don't know where it's coming from. I do what I want! This is what I want to do!
The anime for Son of War came out. Do you think you actually get to be like the main character or Itachi?
Well, I want to go on to Viz and be like, you guys should let Johnny dub every single character as a spoof, like, cause no joke, like when we're in there, we occasionally, there's just weird stuff on there, and then we spoof a lot, you know, but none of that ever is gonna get out because it's more just for fun for us. But it would be really cool, I think, if I got to play every character. I would do it. I would seriously do it, because I would love to play every character. This is my Rukia voice! I could be like way over the top, like stupid. Ichigo! Ichigo, what are you doing? Are you hearing? Ichigo! Seriously, I think I should play every character. We should. Hey, do you guys have Bleach something here? We'll do a commentary, and I'll voice every single character.
I would
The manga, that's not gonna work. I guess manga would kind of. It's gonna be the Johnny Yong Bosch abridged. I'm gonna see if I can get permission to do that for like one thing. I think it'd be really awesome. Take a lot of time.
You can always get a petition done.
You guys put a petition together. Seriously, I think that would be very funny, actually. I think they should do that. If they're afraid of people stealing stuff, that's something that people I don't think would steal, right? And who cares if they did? it's just me all over the place, right? Hurt Johnny enough. Like it'd be the ultimate overkill, JYB. It's like Johnny Bosch is in everything. Literally every character.
It'd be as good as the berserk outtakes.
Oh yeah? Like I was, what is it? I have, is it on my phone? No, it's on something else. I had the Watchmen, you know, they had the motion comic.